What's up, nation? Let's go. We gonna talk about it. We gonna talk about it. We gonna talk about it. Y'all know it. Money. Money. Let's talk about this thing, baby. Let this room fill up. Hey. Money. We gonna talk about it. We gonna talk about it. Yeah. Nation. Really do appreciate each and every last one of you all. My name is Law Nation, L-A-W Nation. I really appreciate you all. And in this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about the money, the salary cap. I was trying to get there yesterday, but time is always on my mind, right? So good morning to everybody. Good afternoon to those that's watching on certain areas, and good evening for those who watching on the rewind feature. But you can check out my podcast. It's LAW Nation. Also, you can probably find me on YouTube, Facebook, as well as Twitch and Twitter. I really appreciate each and every last one of you all. Money. That's what the episode is going to be about. According to the, the indexes of the world or what have you, the price index and expenditure rates and these sort of things, 72% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. And that study was done about, I want to say in 2004. I can believe that it's now 78 or 77% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. A lot of time people look at money and they say, man, boy, I need money. Boy, money can put me in a different atmosphere, or money can change this about me, or money can do this for me. And people fail to realize if you are a master of a few things, then you will understand how to rule many of things, right? If that sink into anybody from a spiritual context, a lot of people says, for the love of money is the root of all evil, right? Can we go there? It says, for the love of money is the root of all evil. I'm going to repeat that again. For the love of money is the root of all evil. But also within those contexts, money, if you read that scripture and you go a little bit further into it, it also says money answereth all things. I'm going to repeat, money answereth all things, not some things. Money answereth all things. So when you contextualize money, in a sense, it does. It really do. But when you start to look at it, sometimes people say, well, money just reveals the person's character when they get it, you see. Also, a fool and his money shall part ways. I know you guys heard that before, right? Fool and his money shall part ways. This is another thing about money that people fail to realize that I have to bring out and point out. Shout out to you, Billy, man, that's on my Facebook, and shout out to you, Gates, that's on my YouTube page. Here's the thing with money. Rich people, wealthy people, appears and say, hey, I don't have it. I don't have money. Poor people, the impoverished people, they got a little paper. They say, hey, I got it all. You see, they don't use their money wisely, dare I say. Not to put everybody in that context, but it does say that when people that got money, they reveal and show that they don't, or they appear that they don't have any money, no need for it. I can't use this particular money. But people that don't got money, they like to flash money. That's the craziest thing of all time. And people will spend money that don't know how to handle money on depreciation asset or depreciative asset, dare I say. That's a better way to put it. So that's just how it goes with money. And looking at the salary cap, and looking at what the NFL done pour upon everybody as it relates to fan base and organization running, this NFL, baby, they pumping out billions. And they say, okay, to all of the 32 owners, here's what we can do for you. We'll set the salary cap at $188 million. Think about that. How much money of $188 million can go into a billion? You see, this is what they're making. And not to count the owners' pocketbooks, they then in return have fan bases to put value on something. I'm going to repeat. They make fan bases argue on value that they put on players. I'm going to repeat. They put value on players. So you can go back and you can read about any player that signed certain type of money. And they say, well, this person is not worth this person is not worth this amount of money, or that person is not worth. How can you determine as a fan somebody's worth? That's the craziest thing. How can you say, okay, I'm going to run this bang 8 route and then I'm going to cut it across the middle and I'm going to get creamed by the safety, and I shouldn't demand fair market value according to what the NFL done contextualize it? I'm not worth $19 million a year, or I'm not worth $15 million a year, or I'm not worth, you see, according to the salary cap, which is an imaginary number that the NFL, I guess, pour upon everybody. But at the end of the day, the owners, by having the revenue sharing, they get paid regardless of whether or not their team lose, win, or draw. That's a crazy and a dynamic business model to go by, meaning that all I need to do, if I can find a way to get billions of dollars, is to buy a sports franchise, a sports team, and I can just sit back and fold my legs and say, you know what? My money is not predicated upon whether or not I win, lose, or draw, because I can just sit back and allow, I guess, maybe 4 or 5 teams to run the NFL. I told people a few episodes ago that technically the NFC East is the driving force of the NFL. There's no games that had higher ratings than the NFC East. Collectively speaking, dare I say. Maybe the Kansas City Chiefs market is increasing and improving because of Pat Mahomes, but he's not even, if you really contextualize it, he's not going to get a third or even a half of that pie that the NFL will make. So if he goes out there on the market and say, hey, I want 45 mil, or I want, dare I say, 50 million a year, that's not even a teardrop in a bucket of what the NFL made, you say. But it's money. A person's worth is on the beholder. This is JD. Yes, shout out to you, man, for the information for the nation. The person's worth is on the beholder. It's like the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You know, that's what people say as well. Will Nelson. All right, so with that being said, we go back and forth with money, and that's understandable. But let's pull up this thing right here, salary cap. You can check out this link on overthecap.com so that you all can follow me there. I post the link in the description box. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and as well as Periscope. So if you're on any of those platforms, please share this information throughout the world and let it come back to us, right? So the argument from last season was, hey, or this season, now the argument is spilt over to this season, is that we don't have enough money to pay all our players, right? If we sign certain players. And I go back to, let's click on this thing that says cap space. We're going to click on cap space. And let me see if everybody can see what I'm seeing. Okay, so you guys should be able to see cap space. Now, this is the tab is on 2020. That's the tab that is on right now. But what we want to do is do a quick moonwalk. We're going to go back into the past. Remember the past. You got to understand your past to know your future, right? You got to understand what this team is trying to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to 2019. I hope you guys are able to see. If not, just click on the link that I posted down below and see if you can zoom in from there and follow me. We're going to go all the way down to the bottom area. Now, I'll tell you what, before I do that, let's go to 2020. What are the ramifications for going over the cap for one reason, right? What are the problems? What type of punishment that will be given upon you if you so happen to go over that imaginary number. If you look at it, I guess the Vikings are over that number. They are $11 million over the cap. Jaguars are $3 million over the cap. The Steelers are right at the cusp of being over the cap. They are at $1.4 million. The Falcons at 4.9. The Bears are at 5.5. And the Saints are at 9. Now, my thing is how we handle budget expenditures or how we handle cash flow or what have you, especially as it relates to remunerations of our particular organization. You want to spend all the way, you want to utilize all of your resources, meaning that so that next year you can forecast and say, well, we used X amount of dollars. Now, this upcoming season, we will want to use those same amount of money. Neither here nor there. I don't know if you plan it safe or close to the vest, what does that give you, right? Because I'm with the mindset, if Super Bowl is my main goal, right, I'm going to try to use all of the resources, not some of the resources, and I'm going to try to use every penny. So according to this price index or what have you for 2020, salary cap, I guess the highest ceiling that we have, the Dolphins, this is before the new salary cap comes up, have $89 million. And just to show you guys, the Cowboys have $76 million, right? 76. Let that sink into your mental, because I do know is if you want to hide something from anybody, you just give them numbers. Because a lot of people, the general public, is not that educated as it relates to money. A lot of times people freeze up and stand still when they talk about money or math or anything to deal with numbers. They love to have something that's tangible that they can really see as it relates to wording. But when you throw out numbers, it scares the living bejesus out of people. All right, so this is from 2019, if you know what I mean. The Dallas Cowboys, all that season, sat on $27 million, regardless of how you look at it. And on top of that, if you really think about this, Cowboy Nation, and anybody else that's listening to what I'm saying, they sat on $27 million, meaning that you had that money in reserve, meaning that you could have went out and used that money, but you refused, right? Or on top of that, you had $10 million that you could have cut Tyrone Crawford. Not saying that you want to get people and kick people off the bus or kick people off the bridge or bury them while they are alive or what have you. But that would have been $37 million that you could have played with, right? Regardless of how you look at it. $37 million just sat there on the side of the bench. Just sat there. So that's what I want to bring home to everybody when you start talking about money, remunerations. How can you use that particular money? What are you saving it for? You see, a penny saved is a penny earned, these type of things. I do know that people say, well, hey, we got to pay this guy. We got to pay Tupac. We got to pay Biggie. We got to go up there and we got to pay the Walmart credit card account. We got to go pay the payday loan people. You got to say all of those things, but the reality of the fact that you had $27 million, and if you wanted to increase that money to more money to sign the people that you want, you could have cut somebody and had $37 million. But, Law, what are you talking about? Well, the $27 million, the salary cap increases every year. Of course, you have some old debt that's going to roll off because some of the people contracts expire and you don't have to pay those people. But what I'm trying to have Cowboy Nation and anybody else that follow this channel and watch this channel, and they say, well, we can't afford to play their players or what have you if we pay everybody. Bull sugar. There's land on the moon for me to have for you to sell, because if the Super Bowl is your main goal and your main objective, there's no way in life you can point to that $27 million in reserve and say, well, I'm holding this for a rainy day fund. Remember this, if you don't hear nothing else from Law, money is not good sitting in the banks. I'm going to repeat, money is not good sitting in the banks. I'm going to repeat, your money is not good sitting in the bank. Your money is only good when it's circulating. Newsflash, invest in something, put your money in something, do some research and put your money, let your cash flow make you go, you see, but do not rely on having the defeative mindset of putting your money to the side. Now, I will say that it's good to have some money in reserve as it relates to a rainy day fund, but not that much money. Not $27 million just sitting there saying, well, wait till next year we can do this with that, or wait till this year we can do with that with this. You see, let's go back to this chart so that everybody can see. And I really appreciate you all, and I would try to get back to some of your questionings here. But let's go all the way back. Remember, we was talking about a little bit about you don't want to burn your bridges and these sorts of things, right? Remember, the salary cap is an imaginary number. All right, so what we said here is this, I guess, in 2020 is supposed to get to 200 million, right? We're going to be looking around and saying, oh, that's a good number. But 200 million to go into, I think that the NFL collectively in 2016 made, I want to say $7.3 billion. And that was in 2016. I want people to know how much money can 200 million goes into $7.3 billion. And let me know whether or not that's a fair assessment. Now, I do know that I can't go and put my application into Walmart, right? And say, well, you know, that's a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and I'm a teller, or I'm one of the night managers, and I'm only making $15 to $17 an hour. I can't go to that that Walmart owner and say, hey, bruh, y'all made $1 billion, man. Can you at least break a brother off $50 an hour? It won't hurt you. And technically speaking, Walmart can really pay all of their employees $50 an hour, basically. But that's not how the business flow go, right? That's not how the business model will go for them. And they probably will look back at it and say, okay, we overpaying our employees. And then there's I guess a factor where it's Target employees and who else? Kroger employees, and everybody else be like, man, forget our owner. We're gonna try to go work at Walmart. You see, they paying their players $50 an hour, right? But when we look at this thing, let's go all the way back to 2015. Let's talk about salary cap issues, okay? All right, so in 2015, we had $7.7 million in reserve just sitting there. That's what we didn't use up. The salary cap was $143 million. So I want people to contextualize it. $143 million opposed to this year, supposedly it'd be around $200 million, right? So they get a larger pie. But what this does is this overinflates this particular number, that's $7 million, because the following year in 2016, the cap jumped from 143 to 155 million. So what that did with the Cowboys is that 7 million overinflated itself, or the money, dare I say, was not used in a sense. So 7 million is automatically returned into probably 10 million per se. But you still have 11 million. You in the middle of the pack, meaning that the people that's on the bottom, I want you to pay attention to the Vikings. I want you to pay attention to the Rams, because the Rams stayed at the bottom end of their particular threshold there. Remember, the Rams, they said, okay, we're going to sell the farm. We're going to get a Dominican Sue. We're going to get these high-time playmakers. We're going to get a Talib. We're going to go out there and grab, dare I say, another explosive guy, Fowler. We're going to go out there and get the people that we know that we for sure we can go on this run. But I want to tell people, what are the ramifications? What are the problems? What are the issues if you so happen to go over the cap? Like, what NFL really going to do to you, right? If you really go over that particular threshold there, because you can really say to yourself and play it real close and say that, hey, I'm going to get extra money. I got ghost money that's going to come the following year, regardless of the situation. See, I went from 143 million to 155 in 2017. We went from 155 to 167 million dollars. So, like I was telling people earlier this season, is that when Carr brother, David Carr, Derek Carr, one of the Carr brothers, when he signed his contract for $25 million. It was back in 2017. Everybody was like, what? This brother signed a $25 million. They paying quarterbacks $25 million to play in the NFL for 16 weeks. This guy, he never proved it before outside of 1.5 years. He's got this much money. But the other players were sitting back saying, cool, okay, that'll work for me. Because I do know that since he reset the market, you see, now I can pretty much name my own price. Let me see if I can pull this up for everybody to understand what I'm talking about. Let me see. I'm going to type in Spoke Track, and we're going to take a look at one of the Carr brothers. I forgot his name, but hopefully he can pull up over here. Derek Carr. I've been calling this guy David for a minute, but his name is Derek. All right, so we're going to pull this up, and hopefully you guys are able to see what I'm talking about. So we pull this up here, and he signed a 5-year, $125 million contract, include a $12.5 million signing bonus, $70 million guaranteed, an average annual of $25 million. And in 2020, he will earn $18.9 million, which everybody will look at and say to themselves, boy, oh boy, that's a nice contract. But at the time that he signed his previous contract, it was in 2017. I wish that they can give me the breakdown of how drastic that was, you see, for that organization to pull the trigger on him, right? But let's look at his current market value. So his market value is now 27.1. Now, I do know that I'm going to hear a selective or collective people to pull up and say, hey, wow, why this guy's 27.1 and why your boy Dak Prescott is at 33 market value. Well, here's why. We selected the following salary cap or what have you based upon their age. This is what their market value is, contract status, and their production. So his productions render to 7.1. It's not the fact that he is better or less or average to, dare I say, a Dak Prescott, but based upon his age, based upon his level of production, and based upon his level of stats or what have you, renders him 27.1. So that's what I'm saying. And then when we pull up, let's pull up Spoke Track again, and we're going to pull up, I wish that they have a feature where we can do a side by side, but that's okay. Maybe if they're listening into this thing, they can try to create that feature and make millions off of it. Okay, so his age is 26, so he's 2 years younger than Carr. His market value is $33 million because we selected this based off of their age, contract status, and stat production. So predicated upon Dak Prescott's stat productions and production as it relates to his total body of work, that's why he's rendering $33 million, because they juxtapose his information opposed to Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, and Aaron Rodgers, and a Russell Wilson. Now, here's the thing. This is the unique thing about this whole index feature, is that they do account for the age of the players. See, he's 36 years old. So there's no way that the Green Bay Packers can go to, I guess, Aaron Rodgers or want to go to Aaron Rodgers and say, hey, we want you to sign a 5-year contract, because the age is just a factor in that, you see. And trust me, nobody want to be locked into a contract when a player's in their 40s. So that's why it is what it is at this point of the age factor. So I hope that I'm driving home to a lot of people about this contract situations, about how the NFL like to use the salary cap as a ploy as it relates to, hey, we can't pay our players. We don't have enough cap room to pay our players or what have you. And that's just the reality of it. When we look at the Cowboys in general, when we start talking about the money wise, and we start talking about the dead money and the money that we're not using, Cowboys, they got the money. They got enough money to sign the top three guys. They got enough money to go out there and play around with. And the free agency era, they got a lot of stuff to do with that. So with that being said, Cowboy Nation, I would try to pull up the feed and see what you guys are talking about. And we can get to the brass tacks of everything. But I really appreciate you all for taking your time out of your day and listening to me ramble about money. You know, that's the craziest thing about money, that everybody talks about it. And everybody have a certain unique feel about it. But the money is always still the same. Money, the love of money is the root of all evil. But also, money answereth all things. Meaning that a lot of people will look at the salary cap. They will look at it and say, well, we don't want to go over the salary cap. And then in return, think about this. I'm going to use this smallest number as a indicator. Let's say I signed, let me see who I got in the chat. I'm going to pick on you right quick if you don't mind. Let me see who we have here. Let's say I signed South of Heaven. He's 88. Check out his YouTube page. He's in the chat. Let's say I signed South of Heaven for a $10 million contract. $10 million contract. That's what everybody sees. But out of the $10 million, $4 million is guaranteed, you see. I give him a $2 million signing bonus, which what people will say, man, that's a lot of money, man. This guy got a $10 million contract, $2 million signing bonus. On top of that, they don't read the $4 million that's guaranteed. So after the first 2 years or what have you, I can cut them. You know, I only lose 10. I only lose 2, but still, people will only understand that, hey, this guy signed a $10 million contract for 5 years or for 4 years or what have you, and they cut him too soon. But they don't understand that when I signed that $10 million contract, the $10 million is not going against the salary cap. And on top of that, only $4 million is going against the salary cap, but I stretched it out over the 4 years or what have you, and 2 is coming off the books for the first year, and the other 4 is coming off the books the second year. So out of the $10 million, only affected is $2 million off the salary cap. That's how you can expand the salary cap. That's how good teams utilize and stretch out the salary cap. So, but from the people that don't read the language, they only look at it and say, well, South of Heaven signed a $10 million contract, you say. $2 million signing bonus. $4 million guaranteed, you see. I can really cut South of Heaven the following year, and I can still recoup most of my money back, because guess what? It goes back to the old okie doke. When I cut said South of Heaven for not living up to his expectations, my salary cap already increased. Remember, I was showing you guys, let me tell you guys, man, that's the craziest thing of it all. And don't come give me an NFL Illuminati for pulling out the truth. But when I tell people these things, when I show the numbers, this all goes back to the kitty. You see, all of this money goes back into the Cowboys collective pocket, you see, not to South of Heaven. We're going to pull and slide this all the way over again. So if I cut, dare I say, if it's 2015, I signed, look, just listen to me, follow me closely, because I know it's going to go over some people's head. If I signed South of Heaven, a $10 million contract in 2015, $2 million signing bonus, $4 million of it guaranteed. He get the $2 million up front in 2015, right? You guys see the salary cap is $143 million. It's 143. On top of that, he didn't perform the way I wanted him to perform at. The next year, I cut him, you see. I recoup some of the money that I get back that I didn't guarantee him. On top of that, the salary cap increases. It went from dare I say 143 million to 155 million dollars. Who is winning out of that situation? Who is left like Boo Boo the Fool out of the situation? We as Cowboys fans, or me as people of other fan bases, will look at it and say, he was trash anyway. They cut him. they cut South of Heaven. He played like trash, right? But in actuality, he's the one that got the low end of the stick because the salary cap increase. Also, he didn't get his full lifespan of his contract. And one can argue and say to themselves, man, he should never sign that boo-boo contract. But South of Heaven never seen 10 million before. You see, that's the problem. All right, so let me read some of y'all comments, man. I really appreciate you all for tuning in to the nation. Don't forget to hit that like button, share this content, let a friend, neighbor, foe know where to go when they want to tune in to the nation. That's why our DL, our linebacking, and secondary should prioritize the next special teams help. Yes, Corey. This is from Sean. We should really consider bringing back Malcolm. Yeah, he's getting long in the tooth. Show me the money. Don't cut me. I know, fam. I just use you as an example. Jay, hell, they should try to give Orlando McClain. He's more durable and a better linebacker than Lee and LVE. The issue was drugs with him. This is from Jay. I don't know, man. I don't want to play around with that issue with that drug situation, man. I like McClain. I liked when he played for Alabama. I like when he played for the Raiders, what have you. But I just think that the sun done set on him. Gamble with Jarwin. What's good with you guys, man? JD, shout out to you all. Thank you for tuning in. Oscar Westbrook says you to go, bro. No. I'm just trying to put things in perspective, meaning that I don't want people to say, well, we can't afford. I don't want us to have that defeative mindset saying we can't do this when we can't do that. When you got an organization, although they handicap themselves on putting stipulations upon their own, I guess, organization by saying that this is the cap, this is what we can get. And on top of that, during the time that the NFL had their struggles, during the time that they had those issues as it relates to money, remunerations, and these sort of things, the problem was they didn't have TV ad revenue like they have today. They didn't have streaming services. They didn't have T-shirts and merchandise being sold all around the world, global interest as it relates to football. And what I can say is that what can really throw the NFL off is this XFL. Although it's a farming system, it may be going on in about another 30 minutes to an hour. XFL will be on people TVs. It can be also an avenue for young players who don't want to go to college. I heard that they started off paying $55,000 to people to play their particular sport, and up to $500,000 for quarterbacks or what have you. So if I got, dare I say, a transfer issue and I wanted to play football for Clemson, but I didn't like the coach or I didn't fit well in their system and I want to transfer and they say I have to sit out a year. Hey, XFL, what's good? $500,000 to go play your sport. I'm there, you see. So that can throw a cog, or they can throw a wrench in their system. And the NFL got to start thinking, be outside of the box. But NFL, trust me, got its way of manipulating the situation and having us all buying and purchasing what they're selling. There's not a single defensive tackle since Aaron Donald that has made an impact. Defensive tackles, edge guys, normally suck for 2 years. This is from Jay. Let me see. Since Aaron Donald, defensive tackle, have not made an impact. My guy Voch Lombardi, he tweeted out a couple of days ago. And we were talking about, he was talking to someone about, are there still elite defensive tackles, with the question mark, one techs, I guess you can say one techs or zero techs, people that can line up over the center, shade the center, or shade the one, or what have you. Are there still elite, are those guys still elite players that's coming out or in the system? I would say, since there's two situations that happened, that occurred, that a lot of people fail to realize. quarterbacks are now more mobile, right? Meaning that when that pocket collapse or what have you, and everything the trash is in their face, they can escape and elude that big fat plug guy, right? The other thing is this: the NFL has transformed, as we said the other day, terraformed the NFL league, terraformed into a pass happy league, meaning that in a one tech situation or a guy that can line up at zero, his effectiveness is not as great as it used to be because you can run away from fat guy. You can get away from fat guy. But what I would say is that the elite aspect, you don't see it as much, but it's still there. Meaning that although teams pass more than they run, or collectively speaking, you would still need that one tech or that big plug that you can put into the middle and gobble up. He may not give you 7, 9, or even 10 sacks, but what he's doing is he's putting that pressure on the quarterback to go through his progression faster, for them to double team inside more, or for them to try to isolate and take away his skill set and just change and wreak havoc on the game. So I think that by the Cowboys not investing in that particular spot on the field, or by a team not investing in on that type of the field, you may not see it week 1, you may not see it week 2, but week 5 and week 6, and when you get down to the playoff time, if you can't create pressure up the middle, and if you can't knock those big star players, quarterbacks out of the box, then you're in a long fight. Jeff Curtis, shout out to you. Said XFL technically innovations is great, though quality of play is uninteresting. Not interested. It's not, I guess, grabbing a hold to what people are used to seeing. I just say give XFL maybe 3 or 4 years, you see, and then we would see the growth of the XFL. Think about it, you know. A lot of times people look at it and say, yeah, the NFL with their situations with the marijuana policies and cutting their good star players. Can you imagine Randy Gregory playing for the XFL and don't have to worry about doing those crazy things that the NFL demands? Can you imagine the situation with, I guess, Josh Gordon? Not being able to play, even if you throw in the Johnny Manziel situation of the off field, on the field. All it's going to take is just a couple of players, some star players, to really put the XFL on the map, and I think that that's going to happen eventually. Or the David Irvins of the world, you see. Boy, XFL is closer than what we think. Let's see here. Replying to Bruce Ward. This is from Harvey Key. Really appreciate you. Would you like to see him back at least for a 1 year's contract? His heart is for the Cowboys, and he will play better for us than anywhere else. Y'all let me know who y'all having a conversation about. Yes, J Form says Randy Gregory is Don, D-O-N-E. Oh, my goodness. Oh, man, you got to tell me more about Randy. Really appreciate you all. Let me see how long I've been live, man. This is always a good episode to talk about money. And money changes everything. People have their perception of money. But like I said, for the love of money is the root of all evil. But when you read that text and you start to look into it a little bit more, you'll say to yourself, man, also a few paragraphs after that, it says, money answereth all things. It didn't say some things. It didn't say a few things. It said all things. So let that sink into your mental. That's just how it goes. And let me pull up this right quick while we're here. Let me pull this up. Plus, let me see. I love to read this out. Okay, it's already got it text out for me. I wish I could play it, but you guys know I can't play it on the tube or what have you. They'll take everything down. But we can read the lyrics. It says, for the love of money, right? OJ's. I want you guys to play that somewhere. It says some people. First, it start off money, 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 money. You know what I mean? And they repeat that 6 times, you see. And then it goes from there. It says some people got to have it. Some people really need it. Listen to me. Why all do bad things with it. You see what I'm saying? And it says you want to do things. Just read that. Good things with it. Talk about cash money. Dollar bills for the love of money, right? People would steal from their mother. People, for the love of money, people will rob their own brother. You see what I'm saying? Boy, those lyrics go hard. I think that there should be a new rap artist to come out, take these lyrics, and still rap over it. Although it'll be a disgrace to the OJs if they do that. But just look at the lyrics. For the love of money, people will lie. Lord, they will cheat. For the love of money, they don't care who they hurt or beat. You see, for the love of money, a woman will sell her precious body for the love of money, for a small piece of paper and carry a lot of weight, baby. Call it lean, that mean green. Almighty dollar, baby, for the love of money. You see, so it goes on and on and on and on and on. Everybody knows for the love of money. The NFL love the money. They do. And they make people that love their team go back and forth over players, you see. It makes people change their perceptions of player. And every time a contract goes around, it sully and denigrate the player because they say to themselves, man, that player is selfish, you see. That player is all about the money. In reality, it's the opposite. It is the opposite because the NFL holds the high cards in this situation, and that's just the reality of it. I wish I can say it in another factor, but I can't. I can't say it in any other way. I'm gonna see if I can find this one other clip before we go. Like I said, I really appreciate you all for tuning in to the nation, and hopefully I can find it's close. I can sense it that it's close, and I pulled it up before, and I think I know what I did. I typed in, well, it'd probably be a growth index. No, it's not growth index. Bear with me, man. I'm on the slide doing this. There we go. All right, here we go. Let's see. Pull this up. Okay. Let's see. I know you guys are going to have difficulty seeing this, but I just want to share this with everybody. It says, this is an old chart. In 2016, this is just me talking about the broadcast revenue. We're not talking about the shirts that are sold, the parking lot. Look, have you tried to go to Texas Stadium and try to park down there in Arlington? For a good parking spot is $100. I'm going to say like my granddaddy, $150. But neither here nor there. In 2016, $7.3 billion with a B. That's just TV ad revenue. The rights to see that particular program. It's 2020 now, baby. I guarantee you my bottom dollar, that is way more than $7.3 billion. I think I saw an index sheet in 2018. It was right at $14.5 billion. Let that sink in. I want people to let that sink in. I do know that salary cap have nothing to do with this, but for the salary cap to be at $200 million for 2020, and this is their revenue for 2016, I want people to do the quick math. How many times 200 million can go into 7.3 billion? Even if you say into this factor right here that the owners got to pay off the stadiums and these sort of things. Newsflash. Newsflash. Everybody that can hear me. These owners not paying for that stadium. Jerry Wade Jones is not going out there to Arlington sitting there saying, okay, I got to pay this monthly mortgage or what have you. The state and the city pays a portion of that stadium. On top of that, the sponsor dollars, you see. And when we go into deep details of the Star in Frisco, you think that Jerry is sitting there saying, I'm going to pay this $3.5 billion out of my pockets? I got land on the moon for sale. And you guys can just cash out me. The link should be somewhere in the description box on my channel if you want to purchase a piece of that moon, you see. That's just the reality of it. Josh Norman is overrated. Yeah, I agree. But he's his own corner, so he's nothing more, nothing less than what a Sherman can do in a particular system. Yeah, Gerald Wayne Jones. Yes. You and me are paying for those stadiums. Yes, John Deere, everybody that can hear me in the sound of their voice. That's why, if anybody look at it, the reason why the San Diego Chargers are no longer in San Diego Chargers and they had to move to L.A. is because the people that stayed in that area said, you know what, y'all ain't winning. Man, we ain't finna pay. We are not finna pay for a new stadium. They wanted a brand new stadium out there in San Diego. And they was like, no, y'all ain't winning in the first place. Y'all can go because we're not finna pay. We tired of paying. We got SeaWorld out here we trying to pay for. You see, we got all of these other things. We got this park situation going on out there. Look, I tell you what, if you guys want to use us again, look, we want you guys to go, man. We like the baseball team anyway. We want you guys to just go because we're not finna pay that money. So that's just why the politics and the political side of football is always stingy when you start talking about money. When the people understand the full picture, you see. All right, Cowboy Nation. I really appreciate you all. Thank you all for tuning in to this thing. If you have any questions and concerns, check me out. Hit me up in the description box on certain channels and as well as on my Twitter. Hit me up as it relates to post your comments and your thoughts down below. And let's continue to grind. Let's continue to grow. That's all the time that I have for this beautiful day. Don't forget to hit that like button, share this content. Hit me up on all platforms and let me know any player that you guys want me to take a real good look at as it relates to the draft. The combine is right around the corner. We do know that there's different levels of the draft. There's a combine era, whereas you may see a guy that you probably had projected to be in the 4th round. He goes out there in the underwear Olympics. He shows out and he shows up everything. And now all of a sudden people say, hey, what about the 2nd? Maybe he'll be a steal in the 3rd opposed to waiting for the 4th round. And then on top of that, the free agent period of the NFL or what have you is right before the draft or what have you. You can start looking at players and say, well, if we reached in our pocket, because we have $27 million just sitting in reserve. If we reach in our pockets and dare I say get a Justin Simmons or get a Al Harris or find a way to get one of those deep defensive tackles that can fit inside, and then that can change the complexity of this particular draft. So with the 17th pick, maybe dare I say we can go with a safety opposed from a defensive tackle, or they can start investing in another offensive tackle. It's so many things that we can do. I know a lot of people say, oh no, let's not go with offensive tackle. But it could happen. Pablo, really appreciate you. Let's go. Let's continue to grind. That's been my time. I really do thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Let's go. Let me find some powder music, man. There we go. Let's get on out of here. Bam. I can't go until I see the fire, though. Let me see that fire, Cowboy Nation. Let me see that fire, baby. Let's go. They say a prize fight. Continue to fight even when he's down. Continue to fight, Cowboy Nation. Everybody got their opinions, right? Those convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. So don't try to fight with people without the same thoughts of you. Let's continue to grind, baby. My thoughts on Dez Bryant, I don't know. Maybe just like my guy Jeff Kavanaugh said, maybe after the draft. Yeah. Fire and desire, Cowboy Nation. Let's go. Yes, they say if you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, give up your peace and your sleep for it, if all of your desires of it makes you quite mad enough that you don't get tired of it, and it makes you hold all of the things tawdry and cheap for it, if life itself seems empty and useless without it, and all that you scheme and dream is about it, if you'll gladly go out and fight for it. Yes. Yes. Let's go. 88 don't hate. Yes. and lose all terror of God or man for it. If you will simply, Cowboy Nation, if you will simply go after the thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and scarcity, with faith, hope, and confidence, and total tenacity. Dare I say, with the help of Almighty, you will get it, Cowboy Nation and beyond. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. One way or another. Let's go. Yes. Yes. You're listening in to Law Nation. Get drunk, baby. We out, baby. One way or another. We got the money. We got the money. Let's go.